students, welcome back. In the previous video, I have continued with the reading of the story Salvatore. Until now, I have covered pages 68 of the workbook. And today I will continue the reading of pages 9 and 10 with its detailed analysis. And also I will discuss the characterization of Salvatore, the protagonist of the story. Protagonist is the central character. And Azonta, the minor character of the story, yet very important, with the title of the story. By the end of this video, you will be able to analyze the text and learn about the qualities of our character. Students, keep one thing in mind, that you have to read the text again so that you can quote important keywords and lines from the text. Before continuing with the reading, let us have a quick glimpse of the story we have read till now. We as readers are presented with Salvatore's life story. We are given a glimpse of his childhood, his acting as a nursemaid to his two younger brothers, his passion for the girl he loves, his military service where he feels homesick and falls ill due to rheumatism, his being dejected in love because of his illness, his marriage to another girl, Azonta. Now let us continue with the reading on page number 9. See this paragraph. Before the reading, let us discuss the word meaning. The meaning of first word husky is big and strong, ingenious, showing innocence, grim-visaged, serious-faced, decided features, normal looks, expostulations, protest. Now let us start with the reading of the paragraph. Well, they were married and they settled down in a tiny whitewashed house in the middle of a handsome vineyard. Salvatore was now a great big husky fellow, tall and broad, but still with that ingenious smile and those trusting, kindly eyes that he had as a boy. He had the most beautiful manners I have ever seen in my life. So children, in this stanza, the narrator is telling about Salvatore and Azonta's married life, that after getting married, the couple settled down in a tiny whitewashed house in the middle of a handsome vineyard. Salvatore, a big husky fellow, still wore his innocent smile. He was still trusting and kind to the people. Azonta was a grim-visaged female with decided features, and she looked old for her years. But she had a good heart, and she was no fool. I used to be amused by the little smile of devotion that she gave her husband when he was being very masculine and masterful. She never ceased to be touched by his gentle sweetness. But she could not bear the girl who had thrown him over, and notwithstanding Salvatore's smiling expostulations, she had nothing but harsh words for her. Presently, children were born to them. Azonta, a serious-faced female, was good at heart and was a devoted wife. She could not bear the girl who broke her husband's heart, and thus she had nothing but only harsh words for her. Now come to next stanza. Let's do the meanings. Underline the word cuttlefish. Write down the meaning. A sea animal with a soft body and hard shell. Ragged, tortured. It was a hard enough life. All through the fishing season, towards evening, he set out in his boat with one of his brothers for the fishing grounds. It was a long pull of 6 or 7 miles, and he spent the night catching the profitable cuttlefish. Then there was the long row back again in order to sell the catch in time for it go on the early boat to Naples. At other times, he was working in his vineyard from dawn till the heat drove him to rest, and then again, when it was a trifle cooler, till dusk. Often his rheumatism prevented him from doing anything at all, and then he would lie about the beach smoking cigarettes with a pleasant word for everyone, notwithstanding the pain that racked his limbs. The foreigners who came down to bathe and saw him there said that these Italian fishermen were lazy devils. This stanza, the narrator has told about Salvatore's hard work. Salvatore, all through the fishing season on evening, would set out on his boat with one of his brothers for the fishing grounds. He not only caught the profitable cuttlefish but also come back to the shore so that his catch could go on the early boat to Naples. At other time, he was working in his vineyard from dawn means morning, till the heat drove him to rest and then again. It means that when it was very hot, he sat back to have some rest, and when it was little cooler, then he again start working in his vineyard till evening. Even when his rheumatism caused him pain that racked his limbs, he would only utter pleasant words for everyone. It did not bother him what people say about him. Come to next stanza. The meaning of the word sprawled is sat with arms and legs spread out. Stoicism, the quality of a person who accepts what happens without complaining. Enormous, very large. Like legs of mutton is a literary device simile. It means with strength and energy. Like flowers, again, it is a literary device simile. Like the laughter of an angel is also simile. Candid, expressing opinion and feelings in an honest and sincere way. Sometimes he used to bring his children down to give them a bath. They were both boys, and at this time the elder was 3 and the younger less than 2. They sprawled about at the water's edges, stark naked, and Salvatore, standing on a rock, would dip them in the water. The elder one bore it with stoicism, but the baby screamed lustily. Salvatore had enormous hands like legs of mutton, coarse and hard from constant toil, but when he bathed his children, holding them so tenderly, drying them with delicate care, upon my word, they were like flowers. He would seat the naked baby on the palm of his hand and hold him up, laughing a little at his smallness, and his laugh was like the laughter of an angel. His eyes then were as candid as his child's. In this stanza, the author has beautifully portrayed the relationship of Salvatore with his children. Salvatore had 2 boys, and he used to bring them down to the beach to give them a bath. Salvatore had enormous hands, but when he bathed his children and dipped them in the water, he did it so tenderly as if they were flowers. Looking at his child's smallness, he would laugh like an angel, and his eyes would appear similar to his child's eyes. Now let us see the last stanza. The meaning of word radiance is light shining, unconscious, not aware of. I started by saying that I wondered if I could do it, and now I must tell you what it is that I have tried to do. I wanted to see whether I could hold your attention for a few pages while I drew for you the portrait of a man, just an ordinary fisherman, who possessed nothing in the world except the quality, which is the rarest, the most precious, and the loveliest that anyone can have. Heaven only knows why he should so strangely and unexpectedly have possessed it. All I know is that it shone in him with a radiance that, if it had not been unconscious and so humble, would have been to the common run of men hardly bearable. And in case you have not guessed what the quality was, I will tell you: goodness, just goodness. You would have noticed the usage of word I in the story. It clearly shows the author's intervention. The author intervenes in the first person and tells the readers that he wanted to see if he could hold their attention for a few pages while he drew the portrait of an ordinary fisherman, Salvatore, who possessed nothing in the world except goodness. I hope that you have understood the text clearly. Now let us talk about the qualities of Salvatore that we have come across in the story. Salvatore is the protagonist of Mom's story. The first point of his characterization is his physical appearance. Salvatore, when young, had a pleasant face, a laughing mouth, and carefree eyes. His body was as thin as a rail. Salvatore, when married, was a tall, broad, and big husky fellow. He had enormous hands that became coarse and hard from the constant toil. The next point of his characterization is a responsible brother. Salvatore was the eldest of 3 brothers, was like a mother to his 2 younger brothers. He took care of them as a responsible guardian. The next and very important point is that Salvatore was a man of emotions. Salvatore was emotional for his family. He had never been alone, and thus, when he left to become a sailor in the navy, he wept like a child. Away from home, he was dreadfully homesick. He missed his family and the girl he loved. When he returned home from military service and met his family, there was a great deal of kissing and crying. Moreover, when he was left broken-hearted by the girl he loved, he wept on his mother's bosom. The next point in his characterization is a passionate lover. Salvatore was madly in love with a girl from his island. They were affianced and had to wait for marriage until he completed his military service. Moreover, when the doctors announced the news that he was suffering from rheumatism, from which he would never recover, it did not shatter him. It made him happy, as it would allow him to go back to the girl he loved so much. The next point is a dutiful husband and father. Salvatore, after being rejected by the girl he loved, married Azonta. He fulfilled his responsibilities of being a husband and a father. He kept Azonta happy. As a father of 2 young children, he loved them and spent time with them. The last and very important point is a man of inherent goodness. Salvatore was a man of inherent goodness, and this was what the author has also tried to depict in the story. Salvatore's inherent goodness came to forefront when he did not blame the girl he loved for leaving him. He married another girl named Azonta and kept her happy. He did not let his past affect his present and future. And also when his limbs ragged in pain at times, he would simply lie down to rest, giving way to only pleasant words for everyone. These all qualities are being possessed by the protagonist of our story, Salvatore, a humble fisherman. Let us discuss the another important character of the story, Azonta. Though she is the minor character but plays very important role. Azonta is one of those human beings who are rational and practical. She represents what we can call inner beauty that shines through good deeds. Though she was not beautiful, but she has the very important quality, that is inner beauty. Now let us talk about her physical appearance. She is 24 or 5 older than Salvatore. According to Salvatore, she is ugly as the devil. She has grown as a grim-visaged woman who looked old for her age. She was a devoted wife who admired and respected her husband. In the story, the narrator has quoted the line, "She never ceased to be touched by his gentle sweetness." Azonta is a good judge. She judged Salvatore by his goodness and not his ailment, and thus could not stop herself from using harsh words for the girl who rejected Salvatore and left him heartbroken. Azonta's role in Salvatore's life is a balancing one. It is she who restored normalcy in his life. Though she was ugly, she had a beautiful heart. Her constant devotion to her husband and children conveys the idea that the beauty of the inner world is much more necessary than that of the outer world. Let us talk about the title of the story. The title of the story, Salvatore, by W. Somerset Maugham is direct and apt. The story revolves around the protagonist, the central character Salvatore. Salvatore is a popular Italian name which means savior. Literally, savior is someone who is kind, generous, and filled with goodness. The protagonist or the central character of the story, a humble fisherman, that is Salvatore, had all these qualities to be called Salvatore. The author has skillfully highlighted the character trait of Salvatore's innate goodness. So students, I hope that this video would have been advantageous to you. Your today's homework is to reread pages 9 and 10 for better understanding of the chapter, and also read character sketch of Salvatore at page number 10 and 11 in workbook. Thank you.